Hello everyone and welcome back. So I wanted to get to this replay. It was sent to me by a fairly new player, so I try and get to those first. And he actually has a pretty interesting army, and it's impressive with how well he actually uses it, all things considered. But I've never quite seen an army like this. What we have here, 2 Bo Ashigaru up in the front to skirmish. We have 2 Yari Samurai here, 4 sword attendants, and then for his cavalry we got a light cavalry and 2 mounted Naginatas. Very interesting army. Where exactly is the core of this army? I can't really tell. Is it like a sword attendant corps or a cavalry corps? It's hard to tell. That's not a very good thing necessarily. Your army should have one real strong point that can pull the battle in your favor. However, it kind of works the other way in that if you were attacking this army, you know, where's the main part of the army? Where do you hit it? So it kind of works both ways like that. There's no real strong main line here. Sword attendants aren't too bad. They're not really good either. Low numbers, their attack is decent, their charge is okay too. Not something I'd want as a mainline infantry. He doesn't really have any mainline infantry. Yari Samurai are capable of overachieving quite a bit, but you'll need those to guard against cavalry. Now one good thing about attacking as opposed to just sitting back and defending is cavalry isn't necessarily as much of a threat. So you can oftentimes use those Yaris to attack. Instead of having to sit back and just have them wait for cavalry the whole time. Now anyway, good aggressive move here to just take these buildings. Red's going to start off slow. Only 1 cavalry unit. Let's take a look at his army real quick. Definitely a more solid mainline infantry force with 2 Katana Samurai. Even with the Yari Samurai, I think he has the infantry advantage here. He has 2 Yari Ashigaru there to back it up. 3 Bo Samurai making up the core of this army. Looks like this guy's running what we call a missile corps. 3 Bo Samurai can be quite deadly, especially in these smaller size battles, and if you look at yellow, all of his units there are weak to arrows, except maybe the mounted Naginatas, which still being cavalry units are fairly weak to missiles. So, actually yellow, is actually in danger of being hit by these bows, so he's got to be aggressive, fast. Cavalry early action can be very deadly. However, without that strong infantry corps, he's going to need something to turn the infantry battle in his favor. A few ways to do that with early cavalry action. One, if he did manage to kill all the bows, he'd be in a pretty good position to surround the enemy with his remaining infantry and pelt him with arrows with his Ashigaru. Number 2, he could just wait for the infantry battle to start, and with his clear cavalry advantage, just slam into the rear of the enemy and just make them all rout. Number 3 is the way that he chooses to go, and I always like to see stuff like this happen and work successfully. Remember, kids, the most important unit in any army is the general. If the general is dead, you pretty much can't win. It's extremely hard. You have to be pretty much winning the battle decisively to win if your general dies. But anyway, on to what's actually happening in the battle. Yellow's pulling up nicely, dismounting his cavalry and capturing the buildings. Very important. He's going to get the shrine and the sword dojo over here. That is going to definitely turn the infantry battle in his favor. It's fairly even right now, I would say, at the beginning. Maybe a little bit in Red's favor for the infantry, but with these 2 buildings, it'll definitely be in Yellow's favor. And he's just going to let him have it. Red with a missile corps, you got to be pretty aggressive with missile corps. There are 2 things you do. You either dedicated camp and just sit there and not move, hoping the enemy walks into your range, which is a terrible strategy, or you be very aggressive, because with missile corps, generally, you're going to have the missile advantage. That means you can control the field. You are the master of the ground. You can say when the battle is going to start, because pushing the enemy with your bows is going to force him either to attack you or just get eaten by arrows. Now anyway, yellow is starting to prod away here at red's lines, trying to get into good graces here with this cavalry. Maybe not such a good move. It does end up working pretty well, but again, with that infantry advantage, not necessarily, may not want to throw away your cavalry too early on early action. But he's doing a good job here of micromanaging, keeping his guys out of range of the Bo Samurai, who have pretty powerful bows, and moving them around to surround red. 1 going back here and 2 here in the front. What he's going to do so well is keep red from pushing a missile advantage by keeping this cavalry here as a threat. Now you don't have to attack to use your cavalry to full advantage. Just being here is good enough sometimes, because he's just going to be a threat. Red, if he moves, he's just going to get hit by cavalry as soon as a weak spot opens. He has 2 units of cavalry, his general and a light cavalry, not going to stand up to these mounted Naginatas. And look at what he's doing here. Another really bad mistake, clumping your army together like this when you're getting surrounded. Like I said, like I like to do the compact formation thing, but you have to be careful not to get surrounded, because as soon as you get surrounded, you are pretty much done for. Yellow's going to have a big mobility advantage with the cavalry advantage. It's going to be moving around all over the place, threatening red. Red cannot move his bows in time to react, and he's just going to be able to close in here. But red makes a big mistake here, keeping his general in the rear of the army. Now, like I said earlier, one way he definitely can turn the infantry battle in his favor, in fact the entire battle, is by killing the general, who is pretty much exposed here. He has no way of being protected. The spear units are all up here in the front, guarding against the early cavalry action, and now this is totally exposed. The general has nowhere to go. He's been surrounded. He's just going to have to try and take it, which he's going to do. Not a great charge there, but look, yes, thank you. This is how you charge with cavalry units. You spread them out and get that charge bonus against the biggest surface area as you can. Now against the general here, which is a small unit, it's not that important, but it's still a good habit to get into. So look how long this cavalry line is. From here to here to here to here to here to here, all the way down the line. This is all going to be impacting the enemy with the charge bonus. That's what you have to do with cavalry, especially sort of spear cavalry like mounted Naginatas. Get that big charge off, spread them out, hit every point on the line that you can. Like I said, not going to do too much here against a small unit like the general, but he is dying fast, down to 15 men. Let's see here if we can, there it is, down to 15. Light cavalry's going to waver like they usually do in prolonged melee, down to 12 now, and red is just scrambling to react now. Now, yellow does get a little behind in his micromanaging. Again, he left his bows up here on the hill, and they're not going to move after the rest of the battle, so micromanaging, not so good at this point, but he's under a lot of pressure, doing a lot of cavalry micro, but this is when you really need to run your forces up, especially they're getting hit with arrows. Ciari Samurai is starting to lose men. They're pretty weak to missile attacks, so red could still do okay here if yellow forgets about his bows, because yellow's cavalry is eventually, the Yaris have come back to support the general. They are going to get routed and scared off. One of the units, this one here, at wavering at 13 men, isn't going to get completely scared off, but yellow's cavalry is basically off the field now, so there goes the cavalry for both sides. Red is going to try and reform here, but his general is dead. In fact, I don't think the unit's even on the field anymore. Probably got annihilated. So the only way red is going to pull it out at this point is to surround yellow and try and just crush him from all sides. Sadly, he's not going to do that. He's not going to win a straight-up melee fight. You're not going to do that if you don't have your general. You have to give early morale shocks and shock them into routing really, really fast, because any sort of prolonged melee, every man that dies brings you that much closer to routing. And here he's just going to go right into the meat grinder here. Only against sword attendants, but with the dead general and those two buildings, that will be enough to end this battle. Ciari Samurai already down in the red. They lost about half their men from all those bow attacks, so Yari Samurai are pretty weak to bow attacks. His bow samurai, look, bad microing on red's part, not leaving his bow samurai in the melee battle. Looks like red just got totally flustered with that good early action. That's what you can do when you're an aggressive attacker. You can oftentimes just fluster your opponent into making bad moves. One great reason to attack, because when you're on defense, it's you who has to react. When you're attacking, you can plan it out, you can call the shots, you decide where the battle's going to go. If you're a defender, you have to react to that, and that's much harder than doing the battle for yourself. Seems counterintuitive. You think defense would be easier. In truth, it really isn't. Attacking is easier. Look how easy this is going to be. Yellow just controlled this battle from the opening minute. Decided what he was going to do and imposed his will on the enemy. And they're not going to stand a fight very long without a general. Even samurai are not going to stand very long. The Yari Ashigaru, of course, are gone. They're going to be the first to go. Going to be a chain rout here, and red's just going to be thrown off the field. Yellow's going to lose hardly anybody outside of his cavalry. Good job there by yellow. Lower ranked player here. Once again, his name is Foxy Fox. In the yellow here. Nice banner colors too. Forgot about his bows. Was a little late on the infantry attack, but overall, he's got the basics down. Look at that. Control the battlefield, go on the attack, impose your will. That's how you get good at this game. That's how you consistently get wins. So really great job there. I love seeing replays like this from new players with the right state of mind. There goes Red's army, and that is game. Thanks for watching, everybody.